I haven't been holding anything up at this point. It's been compensation that the Packers are trying to get for me.
There it is, straight from the lips, of the mouth, on the face of Aaron Rodgers, on the sleeveless shoulders of Pat McAfee's show. What that means, and now what happens in the timeline, and what that means for leverage and everything, Mina Kimes. Your reaction?
Yeah, first reaction, this is kind of confirming the inevitable, right? I mean, this is a player and a team who have been leaked now for months. A team that went out and hired his former friend and coach as their receiver, Alan Lazard, to a contract. A team that, as numerous quarterbacks have gone off the board in free agency trade options, has run out of options. We always knew the Jets wanted Aaron Rodgers. Now we know that Aaron Rodgers wants the Jets. What we don't know is whether the Packers will agree to this. And I think as a Jets fan, that's where this gets a little bit dicey. Because on one hand, you feel great today. Aaron Rodgers wants to play for your team. Your team is going to be competitive if, and it seems likely it'll happen. But a couple things. The Packers have a ton of leverage right now. Everybody knows this has to happen. And the other thing that stuck out to me that Aaron Rodgers said today is that he was 90% set on retiring. If you're a fan of the team he's joining, does that not concern you a little bit, especially beyond this year?
Tim Calishaw, I'll bring you in here.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would say that Aaron Rodgers has done enough shows by now. He needs to learn how to do a tease. You don't say at the beginning, there's no decision to be made, no announcements, and lose half your audience, and then 7 minutes later go, oh, I'm planning to play for the Jets. Did I mention that earlier? So I do think it's a good day for the Jets. And, you know, I basically agree with Mina. I just think the Packers, once he says he's gone, you've got to make that happen. And now they do have leverage. It may take longer than Jets fans and Jets management and players want to sit around waiting. But I don't see any way that we're talking football in September where Rodgers isn't the Jets quarterback.
Harry Lyles Jr.
Mina said the thing that stuck out to me about this entire thing is that he said he was 90% sure that he was going to retire before going into the darkness retreat. And if you listen to what he said, it honestly sounded like he kind of wants to play to just stick it to the Packers. He feels like that this new group of people that are in the front office that were not there when he started his career there have not treated him well, and now it seems like he kind of wants to, again, stick it to them and show them, hey, you gave up on me too soon, because he, again, mentioned the Jordan Love thing and drafting him. They didn't give him the heads up and all these different things. And so to me, I do think that makes this a little bit more interesting if you are a Jets fan, because you should be concerned that he was leaning on retiring, but now that he is sort of playing and going into this with an attitude of, I'm going to show you guys, I think that makes this better for the Jets.
And Israel Gutierrez.
Yeah, if I'm a Jets fan, I don't think this could end up being any worse with you still ending up getting Aaron Rodgers because of the retirement discussion, right? Are we going to think he's really that motivated to do anything other than maybe have a better season than Jordan Love? Okay, because I don't really know. And then you look at the Jets and you say, okay, I'm committing $60 million to this player. Who knows what I have to give back for this person? And he's still in the AFC and they own the same division as Josh Allen, the same conference as, you know, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. And he could have gone to the NFC. He could have been a Saint, presumably. And why were those other teams willing to make these deals with these other quarterbacks first? I'm just not that excited. I'm looking at the bigger picture and saying this doesn't normally work out when these quarterbacks move at this point in their career. And I'm just not too excited about a guy that was 10%, only wants to play for us, 10% of his being. The rest of it just wants to stop playing football altogether until he, went into the darkness for a couple days. That all adds up to just not a very comforting.
The only thing is, I'm not bothered by the Aaron Rodgers that I was 90% sure I was going to retire. That feels more like a thing Aaron Rodgers says to make people go, oh my gosh, he went into the darkness and he really found himself.
Still doesn't make me feel good.
I don't want to get inside Aaron Rodgers' brain. I just think he wants to be a Jet for whatever.
Is that even possible, I guess, would be something I would say. Mina, just the specifics of this. Green Bay, because of the way they did his contract with that big number last year, exactly 1 year and 1 day ago, they do have until September to make this trade. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, they do. And for cap purposes, they want this to be designated post-June 1st. It's a pretty hefty dead cap hit for Green Bay, even if they do that. For the Jets, it's manageable. But it should be noted, this New York team does not have a lot of money. And if they bring on Aaron Rodgers as likely and they pay Quinnen Williams as likely, the team around him might not be as loaded as some people think.
Well, the news is coming in fast and furious. We only have 6 more months then to see if this happens. Let's move on. Teams were allowed to talk to Lamar Jackson starting at 4 o'clock Eastern this afternoon. So it's been 67 minutes, 68 minutes. The reports of who wouldn't be interested were voluminous the last week. But now that it's here, Tim, how do you see this going? Will Lamar Jackson get offers from other teams?
You know, I don't want to be the guy who says I understand what all these teams were thinking when they all rushed to say, we're not going after Lamar Jackson. I thought that was kind of stupid the first day they did that a week ago. I don't think there will be a lot of teams, and I do understand why teams look at Lamar Jackson and say, we like him a lot as a quarterback. 2 first-round picks and paying him $40 million a year for however many years and eating up cap money, that makes us very hesitant. There are clearly teams that can do it. I think it might be a team like Houston. That may not be his dream scenario to go play for a last-place team, but he may have to go that route. I don't know why a team like Washington wouldn't. They should. I think that would be a good fit. They don't seem to want to do that, but I'm not surprised that there aren't teams falling all over themselves just because the way the NFL overvalues those draft picks.
Mina Kimes, how are you sensing this may go?
Yeah, well, we know where the starting point is for a contract because Lamar Jackson himself went back and forth with our colleague Adam Schefter, who's had an interesting couple of days, about his report in terms of what the Ravens offered him. 3 years, $133 million fully guaranteed as the starting point. There's more guarantees for injuries and whatnot on top of that. So the team trading for Lamar Jackson knows he wants at least that, which, to Tim's point, is prohibitive for some teams. However, when you look at a team like, say, Indianapolis, that's been in quarterback hell for years and is picking 4th, so won't even have a choice of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft, I ask you this, what's riskier? Drafting a rookie and hoping he turns out to be Lamar Jackson, or just trading for Lamar Jackson? You at least put in the call.
Israel Gutierrez.
Yeah, I believe that Lamar Jackson will end up in Baltimore, whether he has a long-term deal or not for next year, just because of the way that these non-exclusive franchise tags tend to work. But I'm with Mina here. If I'm Indianapolis, I'm all in. I'm at least having very long discussions about this because you already had Jim Irsay talking up Bryce Young before, Carolina swooped in and took that #1 from Chicago. And that's a team that basically had back-to-back franchise quarterbacks and just really wants that feeling back. And if you've got the owner that's willing to do that and give the guaranteed money, I think it's absolutely a perfect pairing if you think of him and Taylor, and a ridiculous rushing attack that would be. Throw a couple of decent wide receivers out there, and it would be an offense that I'd be friends with for sure.
And Harry Lyles Jr.
Yeah, it just feels like teams should absolutely be falling over themselves for a guy, which, mind you, we've never really seen this before, where a player in his prime at that position, at that age, is going to be available to you. I mean, there's a number of different rosters that you could throw him on, and they're probably instantly a playoff contender, and nobody wants anything to do with him. I do think he's going to end back up with Baltimore, but this just seems nonsensical to me that all these teams, one, went out of their way so early to not go and try to get him. And honestly, if you are the Colts, if you are the Texans, you might have to give up a couple of picks, but at least you know what you're going to get in Lamar Jackson because you're going to spend those trying to get a player of his caliber anyway.
All right, so we had Israel saying he's pretty sure it's going to be Baltimore again, and Harry's, I think you're sensing that as well because you don't believe. Mina Kimes, just make a ruling on here. Is Baltimore is the heavy favorite?
I think it's most likely he stays, yeah.
Kalishaw?
Oh, I don't think he's going anywhere.
We'll move on. NBA now. Raptors 125, Nuggets 110 last night. Denver allowed 49 points in the first quarter. And now, the overall 1 seed in the West